Hello. Right, I'm going to be introducing you to factors and multiples. Now, I hope you all know what the basics of factors and multiples are. A factor is something that goes into another number. A multiple is something the other number goes into it. So, for example, 2 is a factor of 6. 6 is a multiple of 2. Okay, 6 times 2 is 3. We're specifically going to be looking at something called prime factors. And so we're going to do something called prime factor decomposition, which also means finding the prime factors. And quite often the question will say, write 12 as a product of its prime factors. So prime numbers are numbers that only 1 and themselves go into. So we start with 12. Looking at this, I can see 2's go into it. Dividing 12 by 2, I get 6. 6 I know is 2, 3. So these are the prime factors, because these are all prime numbers, of 12. So 12 is 2 times 2 times 3, alright, but it's 2 squared times 3. Okay, and that is how we'd leave it, right? It's got it in power form, and it's a product, left the multiple in, and all the numbers here are prime. Okay? Doing exactly the same thing with 720, it looks like it's going to be much harder. It's not. 720. Okay, the first number I always look for, does it go into, is a 10 or 100 or 1,000. I can see that 10 goes into this, so I immediately pull that out. I don't know what the factors of 72 are, 720 are, off the top of my head, but we're going to find it out. Now 10s, I can split into 2s and 5s. And doing that, I know that both 2 and 5 are prime numbers, so that side's now done. 72s, no idea what the 72s completely breaks down to, but the last number there is even. Therefore, 2's go in. So I bring out 2. How many times does 2 go in? 36 times. Okay, 36. Oh, last number's even again, so 2's go in 18 times. 18. 2's go in 9 times. And then 3's and 3's. Cool. So another 2, another 2, another 2, a 3, and a 3. Now what I've done there in blue isn't actually necessary, just trying to point it out to you. So we have got 4 2's. So as a product of its prime factors, it's 2 to the power of 4. It's got 2 3's, so it's times by 3 squared, and it's got a 5 times by 5. That was 720 as a product of its prime factors. The big trick is don't try and jump to the hard bits first. I always do my 10s. If I can see 10s in, I pull them out. Then I go, is it even? And I keep on coming down until it stops being even. Then I look for 3's. You can tell if 3's go into it if this number here adds up to a multiple of 3. So actually here we could have done it. 7 plus 2 plus 0 is 9. Oh look, 3's go into it. That also tells us that 9's go into it, because it adds up to 9 specifically. Right? But trying to pull 9's out of 720 would have been quite complicated. Bring out 10's and then 2's as much as we could. It makes life a lot easier. So now you need to actually use that. Highest common factors. Highest common factor means it is the highest number that goes into both of them. Okay, and there are lots of methods to do this. I'm going to show you my current favourite method. So we split the numbers into their factor trees, and from here we're going to find them as a product of their prime factors. 2 squared times 5, 24, 2, 12, 2, 6, 2, 3. Now, if you, at this step here, you can just see that 26 is going to 24, don't feel that you're not allowed to split to do that. That's fine. I'm just showing you a method that will always work and make your life easier. So that is 2 cubed times 3. Okay. We're now going to use a Venn diagram to deal with them. If you haven't dealt with Venn diagrams before, don't worry about it. I'm going to explain how we do it. So each of these circles represents the numbers. This circle here represents the number 20. This circle here represents the number 24. In this circle of 20, I need 2 times 2 times 5. Okay, and in the circle 24, I need 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. So both of them have 2 times 2, or 2 squared. So in the bit which is inside both the circles, this bit, we put 2 squared, right? Because 2 squared is needed in here and 2 squared is needed in here. What's left in 20 is 5, right? 24 doesn't need it, so it sits out there, out in this bit, because 20 needs it, but 24 doesn't. And 24 needs another 2, which 20 doesn't need. It also needs its 3. If you get your head around setting these up, then your highest common factors and also actually your lowest common multiples are going to be a lot easier. Because your highest common factor is just whatever is left in here. So in this case, our highest common factor is 2 squared. And it's normally fine to leave it like that. In this case, we can see that the answer is 4 because 2 squared is 4. Okay, lowest common multiple, we're going to use this as well, except this time what we want is the lowest number, lowest common, that they both multiple go into. So it's the lowest number they both go into. And that, the beauty of this technique is it's just that times that times that times that. That's all the lowest common multiple is. So the LCM is 5 times 2 squared times 2 times 3. We don't like the fact that we've got them on their own, and I like to write them in numerical order. So I'd write 2 cubed times 3 times 5. There we go. That is the lowest common multiple. So there is a time when finding it can give you something a bit weird. So let's have a look at finding the lowest common multiple of 4 and 20. Okay, we take 4, we split it into a product of its prime factors, 2 squared. We take 20, 10, 2, 2, 5, and that's 2 squared times 5. When we draw our Venn diagram, that's not big enough. When we draw our Venn diagram, like so, you can see that both of them contain a 2 squared. Right? This is 4 and this is 20. This also contains a 5. So that's everything you need for 4. There's nothing out here. And 5 is all you have to times by 4 to get 20. So we use exactly the same method we did before. Whatever's in there is my highest common factor. So my highest common factor is 4, right? And the reason we've got this is 4s go into 20. So 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 5 is 20, 4 is the biggest number that goes into both of them. And the lowest common multiple is 2 squared times 5, which is 20. This, right? Because 20 goes into 20 once, and 4 goes into 25 times. So 20 is the first number where they both happen together. And that's it. Now, a really common mistake on this sort of thing is to try and times 4 by 20 and say you get 80 as the lowest common multiple. It's a multiple, it's not the lowest common multiple. Right, there we go. Moving on. Okay, this wordy question is physically how a lot of the time you'll be asked to solve it. So whenever you're dealing with wordy questions, I will I'll read through, but I'll just underline the bits that look very important. So Bob checks his Facebook every 10 minutes to see what's online. Fran also does this, but does it every 12 minutes. Okay, they both check at 11:30. When it's the next time, they both check at the same time. So this is a hidden question. What it's saying is I've got something going 10, 20, 30, 40, and the other one's going 12, 24, 36. What it's actually asking me for, changed to maths, is to find the lowest common multiple of 10 and 12. Okay, that's actually what it wants. It wants me to find how long does it take for 10 and 12 to happen at the same time again. So I take my 10, and I split it into 2 and 5, 2 times 5. I take my 12 and I split it into 2, 6, 2, 3, 2 squared times 3. I'm going to put it through my Venn diagram. They've both got a single 2. That's got a 2 and a 5. No, it hasn't got a 2 because it's already used its 2 up. And that one has a 2 and a 3. And a good way of checking now is that area and that area contain nothing we need. 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 2 times 3 is 12. Okay, I'm looking for the lowest common multiple. So I'm looking for 2 squared times 3 times 5. Right, 2 times 5 is 10, 3 times 2 is 6. So that is 60 minutes. However, the question was, right, if they check at 11:30, when is the next time they both check? So what we found is that once every hour they will both check at the same time, assuming that one point in that hour they did check at the same time before. So if they checked at 11:30, the next time they will check, so they'll both check at 12:30. There we go. So what's really important in these wordy questions is to work out what they're actually asking you here. This was saying we have something happening every 10, something happening at every 12, and it wanted to say when is the next time they both happen. So you got like 10, 20, that one's going 12, 24, they haven't happened at the same time yet. 30, right, 36, but as you come around, what you will find is that they head back together after 60 minutes. Okay? And so that's what it's asking you. That meant find the lowest common multiple. And so we found that it was 60 minutes. It says they both checked at 11:30. 60 minutes on to 11:30 is 12:30. There we go. Done.